Hello, my friends, and welcome to episode 11 of the $20orLESS podcast. We're recording live on April 19th, 2015, and I'm your host, JD, aka Gaddock Teeg, and with me today, as always, is my co-host, Cosmic Engine. How you doing today, Cosmic?
I'm good, are you?
I'm doing alright. Got a little bit of a hangover, as we were discussing pre-show. I may have done a drunk stream last night, but it was enjoyable while it was happening. Not so much now, but isn't that always the case with drinking?
Yes.
You're always earlier in the morning.
That's it.
So, what have you been playing? What have you been doing?
This week, what have I been playing? I've been playing some early access games. I've been playing Necro, which was a kickstarted game.
Yeah, I remember that was a big one.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's essentially you play as a necromancer, and it's kind of like it's got a lot of humor in it, like Dungeon Keeper style. So it's doesn't take itself too seriously, and it's about basically you go through each level, and each level's just got like a different objective. So you might have to defend something, or you have to attack something, or blah blah blah. And
so what are the core mechanics of the game? Is it an RPG? Is it a tower defense game?
It's a blend of strategy, action, and RPG. It's kind of like if anyone's ever played Overlord, it's kind of like that. So it's essentially the way that the combat operates is that you have to eat corpses to replenish your health and replenish your magic, which is called blood. And then you also use corpses to summon different types of basically creatures that you can use, and there's all different types of creatures. There's absolutely loads. I was quite surprised how many there was that you can eventually unlock, and each summon has two different combat roles that you can choose which one you want before you enter battle. So for example, one of the basic units is Skelly Bones, which is like a skeleton. And you can either put that as a melee fighter, or you can have them as an archer. But as you get further in, and as you unlock more and more creatures, their roles differ quite a lot. So like there's a flying, almost I think it's the Shade, which is like a flying type, and you can either have that as like a damage dealer or a healer that will heal the other creatures. There's the Crust King, which is like a huge monster that can either be used as a summoner, so that you can summon that creature, and then the Crust King will summon little creatures to go off and attack, or you can use it as a big tank.
Interesting.
So it's there's that side, and then you basically go through, and your Necro has a basic attack, and as well as some other attacking abilities. But it depends on what because there's different types of necromancers that you can choose. For example, the Alchemist is a ranged healer, so that's all about summoning creatures and then healing them from afar and then attacking from ranged. There's like the Outcast, which is a melee fighter, all that kind of thing. And it's basically like Overlord in the sense that you can't go through a level by yourself. You have to always use summons. You always have to kind of make sure you've got a horde of monsters behind you, or you'll get destroyed. And it's pretty fun. It's got a heavy metal soundtrack to the game.
Ooh, nice.
So it's like blood pumpingly like loud, and as you go through, it's very vibrant, the art style and things like that, which really I really liked. I think it's very simple in its design, in that, like, you know, each level isn't particularly big. It's just like basically a combat arena that you go through and do a few objectives, and then that's it over, and then you move on to the next one. I think what provides the challenge, though, is the enemy variety. There is tons and tons of different enemies. That you start off when you start the game and you're attacking farmland, so you're just attacking farms and pigs and cows and that kind of thing. And then as you get further into the kingdom, you're going to be facing assassins, witches, knights, Templars, all that kind of thing, that all have different mechanics and different strategies. And for example, the assassin is able to just completely disappear and then reappear behind you. And it gets pretty damn tough, that game. And it's always like, even though there's a lot of customization for you and your summons, so you can upgrade your stats, you upgrade your abilities, there's trinkets that you can equip that have various effects, and then your summons, you unlock new summons, and then you can improve those summons. Even though it doesn't matter how powerful you get, the next level will always be a challenge, which I quite liked. There's never a point where you've reached a point where, even though you've upgraded loads of these summons to max and your character's really strong, there's never a point where you go through and you just clear a level, like just straight off. Like you have to do battles multiple times and go and then retreat, build up more, summon more creatures and then go back. So that was a really it's a really
sounds good. It sounds like it's in a good place. Like how far along in development are they?
It's pretty far along. I mean, they're in beta. It's pretty far along. I mean, even when it wasn't. I mean, I looked at it like a while back when it first came on early access, and it's one of those games that came on early access, like Darkest Dungeon, and you can see the quality already.
Yeah.
And I wish more games like on early access were like that, where it was just like we'd actually have a game for you to play for your money. Yep. So that was really good. I've been playing a little game called One Way Heroics, which was it's a little roguelike RPG where you basically start off and you've got to it's just basically about going through the story and the levels, and it works from a system that basically it's just like a little 2D sprite thing, and you go through the levels, and every move you make, the enemies make a move too. And it's pretty good. It's very difficult game, and that basically works. As you progress further in the game, you unlock more classes and different abilities that you can use next time around. And it's got a system where you can, it's got like a dimensional chest where you can pass items on to the next character that you have. So that was pretty interesting. I'm
looking at it right now. It looks pretty neat, and it's only $3.50. Wow.
Mm-hmm. So I've been taking.
I'd have to check this one out for sure. It doesn't seem like any reason not to.
I've been taking a look at that. I took a look at Fallen, HP Protocol more in depth this week, which is an early access game, kind of like XCOM with turn-based strategy and stuff, but it's set in a Mad Max kind of post-apocalyptic universe. And that game is so rough around the edges; it hurts a little bit. But I like that. I do like the premise because it reminds me a little bit like Wasteland 2, where it's like you got your turn-based combat, you've got missions, and then outside of combat you travel the wasteland by caravan, and you can trade and you can do different things, but it's very basic at the moment, and there's a lot of placeholder stuff, and it's very buggy, and it's very. It's alpha. It's not beta, so it's very early alpha at that. I mean, if you go to the character's bios, it's still got the placeholder text that doesn't make any sense and stuff like that. So there's a lot of work to do on that. I think it's one of those games that I'm kind of hoping that works out because I like the idea of it. But I don't think that the execution's going to come off. I don't think it's going to. I mean, I hope it does. I mean,
you have your reservations about it.
Yeah, I've got my reservations about it.
I mean, you should always have your reservations about any of this crap that comes up on early access. You never know.
I mean, I'm forever the optimist, and I like people to prove me wrong, and I like games to succeed. But I feel like that while it's a good premise and it's a good start, I feel like they're going to be in early access a long time.
Yeah, and that's just the way of things. And there's like, I think developers need to be careful not to put their game out too early, because it seems like that was a trend that happened very early in early access, and it's kind of coming back now where they're just putting crap up as soon as like they have anything you could play, and I think you risk burning out players, and players don't want to stick with the game even though it's a cool concept.
Yeah.
They've seen it in like its weakest state, and they're done with it.
I think it's something interesting that I'd like to find out is that does early access, one, does it burn out your player base, and two, does it affect sales, like launch day sales, like full release sales? Because I'm always interested in while you do get, like, for example, early access launch day, you'll probably get a boost in sales, and then you'll get a couple of sales throughout early access, and then I want to know, does it affect? Because the way Steam works, especially on the front page, is that if you have a certain number of sales on launch, you get the front page, right?
Yep.
Under popular new releases. Now, if your sales have mostly already gone in early access, are you ever... Because everyone knows, every developer has said that if you get on that front page of Steam, that increases your sales dramatically.
Yep.
So... are you gonna if you go in early access, are you always going to be losing out on full release day from those sales because you'll never get enough sales to hit the popular new releases thing? So I mean, I don't know. It'd be interesting. I'd love to see, even though we'll never be able to see the stats that Valve has. I'd love to see how being in early access affects your sales compared to, like, take two indie games, one that was in early access and one that wasn't. I would love to see the sales and try and compare, see if there's a trend of early access games in.
Yeah, I mean, I think it also has to do with the game. Like a game like Darkest Dungeon, people still play that, people still stream that. That's just a great game as is, even if it's earned.
Yeah, but I mean, there's always exceptions. But I always think that there's always, you know, even in the games industry where you do have, like, you know, your the games that are successful regardless. There's always going to be some metric to see, does early access affect? Is it short-term gain, long-term loss?
Right.
I don't know, but I'd love to find out. It'd be interesting.
Yeah. I mean, the ESA, as we'll talk about later in the news section, did not talk about that, unfortunately. So we don't have any additional information there. So this week I've been playing pretty much what I've been playing the last few weeks. I continued playing Box Boy. That game continues to surprise me. Very, very innovative. It's great at just throwing different things at you. It's nice that they're able to change it up on every level. Every level feels interesting and different. And I'm still playing it for sure. Ollie Ollie also on my 3DS. Still okay with it. It's nice that there's a skateboarding game out there. But I want Tony Hawk 5, as was possibly maybe leaked in an image. I don't know. Didn't put it on the news because I didn't think it was big enough to talk about. But please, let it be true. I want to play Tony Hawk 5. And also, I've been playing a little bit of A Link to the Past. I've kind of had a game going of that for a few months now. I kind of pick it up, play a level, then put it down, play a level, put it down. That game still holds up absolutely. One of the best games ever. It's so in a time period where games are just basically trying to ape A Link to the Past. A Link to the Past still stands up above all else. That is a great game.
Yeah, I like Zelda. Zelda's cool.
Yeah, it's great. It surprises me actually to this day how difficult that game is. Like, that game does not F around. Now in your modern Zelda games, before every boss, there's like all the pots so you can fill up all your health, and you get a fairy right outside the boss. But nope, not Link to the Past.
My favorite Zelda game was always Majora's Mask on the N64, because that was a weird game.
Yeah, that was a very weird game.
But I loved it. Like, it was interesting.
No, I love that one too. It's a great game.
That was the first Zelda game I ever played, and then I played other Zelda games. So I was like, this isn't like Majora's Mask.
Yeah.
What's this about?
They did things.
This isn't
like,
Zelda.
It's totally out. They had like a questing system basically. Like the mask collecting was just so out there. I love that game though. That is a great game.
Mm.
Zelda has a long history of changing up the formula and doing it pretty well, which I think you need to give them props for. I don't think they're doing it as much now.
No.
They kind of. Now it feels more like they do gimmicks instead of
now
really
they just re-release. Now they just re-release old games.
Yeah, but from the time period of the original Zelda on the NES to like Wind Waker, there's like vast shifts in just design philosophy and what type of game it is. It's pretty astonishing that they did that for so long.
No, it's cool.
Yeah. So how about let's get into some news here.
Sure.
Let's I spoiled it or teased at it before. Let's talk a little about the ESA. The ESA has released some facts on video games and gamers. They surveyed, I think it says 4,000 households, surveying both the head of household and the most frequent gamers at that household. Some quick stats here. 155 million Americans play video games, and consumers spend $22.41 billion on content. That's content, hardware, and accessories in 2014, according to the NPD. So the NPD is a retail surveying group. The one criticism that people generally levy at NPD is they don't cover digital sales as well. I think they are starting to now, but I still don't think they have the... Like, Steam isn't just giving the NPD numbers. There's no reason to. They don't have to. So this obviously even could be lowballed, but 155 million Americans, a lot of people. Digital sales of content such as full games, DLC, subscriptions. I guess they did cover some digital here. Mobile apps and more is increasing. In 2013, total digital format sales versus physical format represented 47%, according to the NPD. In 2014, this was up to 52%. So over half of all video games were purchased digitally in 2014. That's incredible to me. I can't believe that.
I can.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
See, I still think that there is like this silent majority out there that goes to Walmart and gets their games when they see them.
I think, honestly, that only happens now is when there's a release. Like, and that's specifically consoles, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, that's true.
I mean, unless it's like World of Warcraft expansion, like, that's specifically consoles where that happens. And that's only when it's like GTA Fallout 5 released, right? People are waiting for that or whatever.
Right.
But you've got to think, like, if you're talking about sales overall of gaming, think how many, like, PC users buy digital, right? That's just the done thing now. I don't think anyone buys physical copies anymore. And most games that come out on PC don't even make physical copies anymore. So that's pretty much, you're talking in the high 90% of PC gamers all buy digital. And then look at consoles now. PlayStation's got a digital service. Xbox has got a digital service. PlayStation Now, PlayStation Plus give you free digital games. Right?
Yeah.
That's all in there. And then there's a large library on the PlayStation network for purchasable digital games, and it's the same with Xbox. So it does not surprise me that that's going up at the rate it is because, you know, consoles are going digital, PC's already like fully digital. It does not surprise me at all.
Yeah. Hey, you forgot about the Wii U there too. They have a digital platform as well.
Does that even class as a console? I don't know.
Yeah, and I guess the Steam sales are a big thing. People buy just tons and tons of games on sale on Steam and don't even play them. I have tons of games I've never even touched. Never even installed a bunch of games on Steam. Just bought them on sale. Yeah. Why not?
I mean, that doesn't surprise me at all.
The last big bullet point they have is 51% of households own a dedicated game console, with 42% playing games more than 3 hours a week. So I guess that the fall of the console isn't necessarily as big as people may have said. No, 51% is still a big number.
The fall of the console. There's no such thing as the fall of the console. I mean, consoles dominate. Look at the target audience that consoles dominate because most 10 to 18-year-olds don't have a PC. Or at least a high-end gaming PCs. Right. I mean, you're looking if nowadays, if you're 10 to 14, you're going to be asking for a console for Christmas, right? So it's logical to assume that most households now are going to have a console, especially in the generation that we are. That we've had kids. We've had generations grow up with the original PlayStation, the original Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 2, blah blah blah. So it's not unrealistic to assume that most households now are going to have a game console in some form. What game console that is, because it doesn't specify what console that is. That's not like saying 52% of households have Xbox One and PS4. That's just saying they have a games console, right? So
yeah, and I guess we also live in an age where, you know, not everyone necessarily has a family computer. Like growing up, we always had a family computer, everyone I knew, but everyone now has phones. Not everyone needs a family computer.
Well, that's it. It's not a thing anymore. I mean,
so yeah, I mean that actually, yeah, maybe that doesn't surprise me.
I mean, that doesn't say. I mean, and again, that stat doesn't say that they don't have a PC on top of that. That just says they own a games console.
Right. We also have listed here the top 20 selling video games of 2014. This is according to the MPD once again. Number 1, Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. No surprise there. Madden NFL 15. Also no surprise, although maybe a surprise that that's still going. Destiny number 3. Wow, that actually shocks me. Destiny number 3 top-selling game of 2014.
But again, this is just from the people they surveyed, right?
Yeah.
This is the 4,000 households that they surveyed. So, again, I take these with a pinch of salt because they're not representative of worldwide.
Right.
Because I mean, there's no way that Madden NFL, because you can tell this is done in America. Because there's no way Madden NFL sells that much worldwide. I know for a fact it doesn't in England.
Well, FIFA isn't even on this list.
Well, exactly.
Obviously, number 1.
FIFA's number 9.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, 15 is number 9. And I know for a fact if you surveyed 4,000 households in England with gamers, FIFA would be first.
Oh, yeah.
Number 1 every time.
Yeah.
So.
Surprises on this list. Number 5, Minecraft's still up there, and that game is just bigger than I could even imagine. That game has just gone full on mainstream. That's the game kids are playing. If kids are playing on these consoles, they're playing Minecraft.
Yeah, I mean, it's like my kids watch some YouTubers, some Let's Players and stuff, and they all play Minecraft. Like, it's all Minecraft Let's Players, right? So, and they want to play it. They want to be like them, so. I don't know.
Yeah. Hey.
Don't watch any game critics, though, my kids. No, don't like them.
They don't watch you?
I'm boring, right? I'm not a Let's Player. I'm boring.
They also, let's go down to some bullet points here on demographics. Of the players surveyed, 56% were male, 44% were female, with the most frequent female player averaging 43 years of age, and the average male player averaging 35 years of age.
Mm-hmm.
So, at first I thought this was very strange, and then I thought about it, and the average female gamer, I think, based on the age being so much higher than the average male player, I think that goes to, your grandmother playing Candy Crush and bugging you on Facebook constantly. And they actually do say at the bottom here, one of the things that our research does not define is what exactly constitutes a game. While it does point out social games, so many different types of gaming experience are available these days. From apps to flash titles to big budget console blockbusters, the definition of a video game is as diverse as ever. The expansion influences some of the info above, and I think this is clearly one of those instances. The Facebook game revolution really died out with our generation, died out with a lot of people, but I think our grandmothers, our grandparents are still playing Candy Crush Saga.
I think my mother would disagree with you with the Facebook dying, because she still plays Farmville and all that.
Well, that's probably part of this right here. While the average male gamer, I think, is probably less likely to... I don't know, it's interesting to me, actually, how women have really bought into the Facebook game thing. Like, that's clearly a more women-driven market. Like,
I think there's a lot of factors involved in that. I think it's a case of a lot of mobile apps specifically and social media games are targeted at women.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think there's a lot more women on social media than there are men. I think it's a case of it's been an interesting evolution of video games in terms of the industry, because you have the I suppose the hardcore market of consoles and PC gaming has specifically for many years has been specifically targeted at men with the products that they produce. For example, Call of Duty, it's very focused male product, right? A lot of sports games are very focused male products, and they target in their advertising, they target male gamers. Whereas now you're actually seeing that. So it was mobile apps and social network video games were targeted at women because women were using the service. But now, of course, we're seeing the migration of female gamers who are coming off Facebook and going on to the hardcore gaming, which is good, because I think it's more female gamers are needed in the console and PC gaming market, because I think it's opening up. It's a lot more less targeted at male gamers. There's a lot more female protagonists. There needs to be more, but but
getting better.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it's a case of, because I mean, if you look at, I think there was a study last year or the year before where they were looking at, they were looking at mobile titles, and female player base eclipsed male player base by a lot of numbers. So there's a lot of female gamers out there, but I think it's a case of there's lots of factors involved with female gamers coming into the PC gaming and in console gaming, because I think there's a lot of it's easier for females to get into console gaming on single player, and I think the same could be said for PC gaming for single player, but when it comes to multiplayer games, it's a lot more difficult for female gamers to get involved just because of the community is a bit
and that I guess brings up this last point that I want to bring up from this article. Most frequent gamers spend an average of 6.5 hours per week playing with others online and 5 hours per week playing with others in person. So, I mean, I honestly thought this number would be much higher, especially since #1 game, Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, who's playing that not online? It's where the reality of the situation is players are playing with other people online, clearly more than they're playing in person. And I think that it creates a situation where, I don't know, it's interesting the way that games have gone. I do miss the days of being on the couch playing with other people, but I just think it's not a reality as much anymore. People don't do that anymore.
I mean, to me, that doesn't bother me because I always hated having people around my house. So and I don't really care. I'm pretty antisocial anyway, and I never enjoyed the experience. I think the only time I would ever enjoy the couch experience is that when you play a game like Mario Party. Other than that, I used to hate Halo on the Xbox One, on the original Xbox. Sorry, I used to hate Halo split screen. I used to hate split screen games.
Oh man,
they drove me insane.
We used to have 16-player LAN parties. It would be a raucous event, and it was great.
But no, I
miss those days.
I don't like that doesn't bother me, and especially because I'm a PC gamer now. Why would I have someone next to me playing? That doesn't make any sense.
Because you can just turn and look at them and trash talk.
But I can do that over the internet. It's fine.
Well, I think that's. I think. See, this is the problem. I think it's quite all right to just turn to someone and start trash talking to them right to their face because they can punch you. If things get to that, they can just slug you right across the face. End of story. You can't do that on the internet. That's the biggest problem we have with playing on the internet. We need to get a punch app that will punch you through your controller if you're being a jerk. That would solve a lot of internet harassment problems.
I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. That kind of experience never appealed to me anyway. So.
Yeah. Alright, so more news here. Let's talk about Mortal Kombat X. So Mortal Kombat was released this week. Did you have a chance to play it at all?
No, not yet.
You were discussing possibly picking it up.
I'll pick it up at some point, but the PC version is apparently completely still broken. So
yes, well, we're not even going to discuss how when the game first launched, you had to download it, and then you were brought to some people were able to play it, but a large number of people were brought to a menu which allowed you to select training and then quit.
Yeah.
All the other options were grayed out, and then when you hit training, it crashed the game.
Yeah.
So
I mean, there's a lot of people who still can't even get it to run. So,
yeah.
I mean, no thanks.
Yes, Mortal Kombat X. But let's talk about the other thing that people are upset about, and that is microtransactions straight off the gate to the tune of over $60 of microtransactions available, plus purchasable consumables. What do these consumables do? They allow you to do easy fatalities. These are 2-button fatalities. Instead of having to memorize a combo in order to do the iconic fatalities in Mortal Kombat, you can hit 2 buttons, do it straight away, no issues. These are consumable items. 99 cents will get you 5, and $5 will get you 30 of these easy fatalities.
Okay. I mean...
is this the world we live in now? Is that the response
the fatality
we're supposed to have
thing?
to
I
this?
don't care about. That's fine.
Yeah.
That doesn't bother me at all. It's a fatality. It has no effect on the actual skill of the match. It doesn't matter. It's the end sequence. It's after you've beaten them, and it's a thing. Who cares? It's a fatality. It doesn't.
Okay, yeah, actually, I'm in total agree. I thought you would be totally against this.
No,
but yeah, I'm actually in agreement with you here.
I don't mind DLC as a general thing, as long as it doesn't affect the actual, especially on a game that's like competitive multiplayer. As long as it doesn't affect the actual match and the skill level, and it doesn't give another person an unfair advantage, then that's fine. I don't care.
Yeah.
That's because essentially fatalities are just like skins. It's a cosmetic thing. It doesn't actually affect anything. So if you want to sell those, you want to sell fatalities and you want to sell fatalities to make them easier to do, I don't care. Fine, go ahead.
I mean, my biggest problem with this actually is the consumable nature of it. It just seems very exploitative. Like, if you want to sell $5, you can get infinite easy fatalities on this character.
I agree. I mean, it's a little bit, bit thing, but at the end of the day, if you want to, that's what you're doing. I mean, if you want to make it easy for yourself, then you've got to pay, and it's your choice. No one's forcing you to do it. You can still learn the combo to do the fatality. That's your choice. What annoys me about Mortal Kombat DLC is that they've got characters on there. I don't like when they put characters on there. That irritates me, especially like Goro. And then they've got the combat pack for $30, which is 4 playable characters, including Jason Voorhees and Predator and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't.
That's a pre-order. That's a season pass there. Yeah. Those characters aren't even available yet.
So I don't like when they lock characters behind stuff. Because that's
and Goro was a pre-order bonus.
That's content.
Pre-order bonuses, total BS.
That's locking content off, and I don't like that. But I mean, I've got no issue with the fatalities. I mean, anyone who whinges about the fatalities or the character skins or anything like that's just stupid. Because who cares?
Yeah, and we see this with Evolve. We see this with so many games now coming out day one with large swaths of DLC coming right after a game is released, pre-order bonuses, and I wonder, is this a result of video games not having increased in price in a while?
No, I don't think it is. I think it's a way to make money. I mean, and DLC makes a lot of money for developers. A lot of money.
Would you, if AAA games cost, say, $70, but did not have any DLC, do you think that would make you feel better about it?
Not really.
No? I was thinking about this week, and I was thinking, if Evolve came out at $70 and you got absolutely everything that they had there, maybe that would have been a better game. Maybe that would have been a better experience and people would have enjoyed it better. People might have stuck around a little better.
Maybe. I mean, it's just a case. It's money. And at the end of the day, DLC wouldn't exist if people didn't buy it.
Right.
That's. I mean, consumers have the power. At the end of the day, if you don't buy something, it ain't going to get made. That's the way it works. Right?
Yeah.
So it's a simple case of don't buy DLC. They'll stop doing DLC. The simple fact is though, people do buy DLC. It makes a hell of a lot of money for developers because it's easy money. That's what it is. It's easy money. You can have, for example, you take cosmetics, like everything that's cosmetics, like the fatalities, particularly character skins. Character skins require no work to do at all. I mean, essentially, at a certain point in development, your art department is doing nothing. Right? They've done their work. So put them on doing DLC skins, right? Where it doesn't take them that long to do. That's easy money.
Yeah.
That's easy money. And DLC rakes in so much money for developers. And I've spoken to developers, particularly of indie games and middle range games, not AAA but middle range, who have made so much money on DLC compared to sales, so much money, and then then as a business, how can you then say we don't want to do DLC? Yeah. I love games like, for example, I love CD Projekt Red, who do The Witcher, because for The Witcher 2, and I think they're doing it for The Witcher 3, they brought out free DLC. For example, for The Witcher 2, all the DLC for The Witcher 2 was free. They just gave it away, right? And that's cool. And I like that. And I love that about CD Projekt Red. But at the same time, one, they're in a position that they can do that. And two, that doesn't affect their sales because they're always going to sell that game. Because they put that much work into that game that they know it's going to sell well. Because people love that game, right?
Yeah.
But if you're a middle range developer and you've brought out a game that's sold okay, it's not too bad, but you've got a decent player base there, and you need to make some money. bring out some cosmetic DLC. The only time I have a problem with DLC in any way is when it blocks off content that should have been in the original game. That annoys me the biggest. Right? If you make a game and then you start sectioning it off and going, oh, we'll put that behind a paywall, put that behind a paywall, and I've paid $60 for your game, but you've took away stuff that should have been in that $60 game. That annoys me. If you want to let me purchase a $60 game, and that's a full complete game, and then you say, well, we made an expansion. Here's some DLC that wasn't in the original, wasn't supposed to be in the original. We just made it on top. That's fine. I don't mind that. I'll buy that. That's fine. That's not a problem. But I hate developers where this is mostly AAAs who are taking content out of the original game and trying to put it as DLC. That's nonsense. I hate that.
Yeah, and that's why I actually really respected when BioShock Infinite came out. They came out and said that the DLC that they were selling Season Pass for, maybe you can debate whether they should have been able to sell a Season Pass before they even started development on the DLC. But they said that game had nothing to do with the DLC in terms of development resources. That game was made... the DLC for that game was just completely started right after release. Nothing happened about the DLC before then. And I respect that. Yes, it took a long time for that finally to get released, but I think that's a consumer-friendly way of doing DLC, and I hope that other developers do that.
And I think it's the case that DLC does get a bad rep from the games media and stuff, but at the end of the day, it wouldn't get a bad reputation if it was done properly. Or every critic I know, every critic I listen to or have spoken to has said, I don't have a problem with DLC in principle as long as it's done right. Right? But developers never do it right because they always section off content that should have been in the original game. Now, why should I pay $60 for half a game and then have to pay like another $60 in DLC to get the full game? That's nonsense. Give me the full game plus, then I'll be okay.
Right. Yeah. And it comes down to, are developers shooting themselves in the foot? If developers were more friendly to consumers with things like that, would they be more willing to buy your other DLC, your skins and things like that?
Well, I mean, it's like EA, isn't it? I mean, EA, people hate EA, and they've done it to themselves.
Yeah, and EA has definitely made some poor decisions in the past.
I mean, to be honest, I don't think the EA are the worst for a lot of things, but
I think EA just is living off of a bad reputation from a few.
EA has done a lot of crappy things with DLC. Capcom, notorious. I can't buy a Capcom game now. I won't buy one because I know when that Capcom game comes out, I know that it's going to be half a game. Yeah. And then the rest of it's going to be locked behind DLC. Can't abide Capcom. Capcom are the worst for DLC, and they've been the worst for a long time.
Oh yeah, especially with the Street Fighter games. They sold like 6 different versions of Street Fighter 4, and they sold characters on top of the game, and I don't know. Cool. I don't know about this. I don't like it. So we got time for one more news story here. So I'll let you choose since the rest are your stories. What do you want to talk about?
I don't know. I mean, 2K Australia is shutting down, as most people know, and they did the pre-sequel, Borderlands pre-sequel. They're shutting down. Doesn't surprise me, though, because a lot of developers are cutting back. The new Humble Bundle's out, which is a EA Origin bundle, and you can get like Mass Effect games.
Actually, pretty good stuff. Yeah, this is a pretty signifiant bundle from a AAA developer.
You get the first 2 Dragon Ages in there. You get like Mass Effects in there and Garden Warfare and stuff like that. It's worth checking out at least.
Yeah, and they said more games will be coming soon as well. So and not only is it with EA, you can get most of the games on Steam as well if you don't want to download on Origin, which is crazy. Like, why would EA let you do that? But hey, it's cool.
And there was an article on Polygon that was talking about the US Department of Education is saying that the future of education involves video games in the classroom, which is something I've promoted for a long time. It was saying that like they're holding a conference talking about where they're inviting developers and experts in the industry to talk about the future of education and stuff. And they were talking about, like, for example, Assassin's Creed, that Ubisoft have said that they tried to make Assassin's Creed very historically accurate in terms of like the locations, the architecture. In Assassin's Creed 3, that they tried to make that they got cultural experts in to make sure that the Native American language was correct and stuff like that. So they were talking about how they're going to be able to explore using video games to educate, because they were talking about, can we get the experience of going out of the classroom in the classroom, right?
Right.
And I think that's a good thing. I mean, I've always said that, you know, video games as a medium, as an entertainment medium, can be used for multiple purposes in various industries. And I think that's the case. It's going to be it's very important in education, because I mean, think about it. Make a game where you can go and talk to the founding fathers.
Yeah.
You know, and stuff like that. That would be awesome, right? You know, all that kind of thing. Awesome.
Yeah, it's a case that I was playing video games when I was in school. We had Oregon Trail, we had Math Blaster, and Mario Teaches Typing. Like, we were playing games, we were learning from them. And I think it's a case where there was a period where there were those interesting games like Oregon Trail that you can learn from. And then there was a period of edutainment games that were just utter garbage. And I think it's a case where you can't just make a garbage game and say it's educational and expect kids to learn from it. It has to be a good game so the players want to play it and engage with your game. And then you can worry about educating the children. I think that you can't come in with a teacher's mentality with this. You need to come in with a game development mentality when making an edutainment game. And then figure out how to get the education in there afterward. And I think video games are educational just as they are. They're social by nature. Like, playing video games is very social usually. When you're playing with people online for 6.5 hours. So you learn that way. You learn your reflex skills. You learn different things from video games.
I mean, there's lots of things you could do with video games to make them, educational. I mean, you can make historical games. You can make it, maths games, English games, all that kind of thing. So there's lots to do there. Well, I'll tell you what I did see. I saw the new Guitar Hero from...
I did see that. That looks like garbage, right?
So
I'm not the only one that looks like garbage.
The way they've changed it is that instead of like the cartoon graphics and style and band that you've got playing, it's now a live audience. It's all in first person, and so it's live. You're basically facing an audience that was put together with actors and stuff like that, and it's like a full stadium, right? And basically, they've changed the guitar so that it's no longer 5 buttons; it's 3 with like up and down things.
Yeah, that actually looks kind of cool. That I kind of like.
And then so you're playing with like a mock band, and it's all in first person. So you're looking around, and you can see like the lead singer, and you can see the drum and bassist, and then you can see the crowd and stuff. And so if you're doing really well, the crowd, like all the acted crowd, will be like, yeah, that's really good. And then like your bandmates will be like nodding at you and stuff like that. But if you do really bad, like the lead singer will be like singing along, turn around to you and like giving you a dirty look, and then you'll turn around to the drummer and they'll be like, "What you doing?" And then and then you look down at the crowd at your feet and they'll be like, "No," like that.
Yeah,
I think it's awful.
Yeah, I think it looks so silly. Yeah.
And they have said that like not all songs will be like that. It'd only be certain songs, but wow.
Yeah. And they also talked about Guitar Hero will be just the guitar. They're not doing a full band again, which
they're going. I
don't know. I think it's a bad move. I mean, maybe it's a good move not to try and compete with Rock Band, which is coming out again as well.
But they're both coming out. It's a Christmas battle.
Yeah,
is what they're doing.
And I think the band experience, I think, just won over the single guitar experience. So I don't know. I don't know what led to that decision there.
I just think it's funny that they're both coming out at the exact same time again. It's like
we're doing this again, guys.
Yeah, well, it's like one of them. Let's say one of them said, "Oh, we're going to come out this Christmas," and then the other one went, "Oh, well, we better make one then too."
And it's also crazy that I didn't think they would want to do more plastic instruments, because that was such obviously a crazy thing for retailers. They had like crates and crates stacked to the ceiling of these plastic instruments at retail shops. I remember when the Circuit City by my school closed down, we went there, and they had like a couple like super big screen TVs that were on sale, and they had the rest of the store was filled with Rock Band and Guitar Hero and all different kinds of instruments
Yeah.
And they were just basically giving them away. They were like, if you buy one, you get 6 of them if you want them. So I didn't think they want to do that. So it's surprising that Guitar Hero would be changing up their instrument formula.
What interested me is that it's not backwards compatible too.
Yeah.
That was interesting, but
yeah, I don't know. When we get more information, we'll definitely talk about it because I love me some Rock Band. Guitar Hero was fine. Like I had friends that were bigger into the Guitar Hero. They wanted to play through the Fire and Flames and whatnot.
Oh yeah, I played through that.
Yeah. So
and that was good.
When we get closer to release, we'll definitely be talking more about the Rock Band Guitar Hero battle.
Huh.
So let's move on here since we're finished with our news. This week's Game of the Week. So this week we were playing Titan Souls, which was developed by the 3-man team known as Acid Nerve, published Devolver Digital once again.
Yep.
$14.99 right now on Steam. You can check out the website in the show notes as well as where you can purchase it on Steam. I think it's also available on GOG and all those other places. I'll try and keep links for those as well. I know people don't always want to buy stuff on Steam. I understand. This is a boss rush nightmare game. I think it's pretty cool. It's a top-down game where you play almost in a Link to the Past style of art style. You have a bow and one single arrow. You have one heart, so if you get hit, you are dead. But the thing is, most bosses also have one heart. So you hit them once, and they are dead. They all have weak spots and different mechanics to them, and there are giant bosses. There's a guy who just pounds on you with his hands. There's a giant plant with spinny tentacles. There's a lot of stuff going on in this game, except it's all bosses, and bosses are great. What can I say? I love me some boss battles. What do you think of it?
I don't know. I mean, it's inspired by Shadow of the Colossus.
Pretty obvious.
Which is a great game. I think that I like the bow and arrow mechanic. That it's very simple. That you shoot the arrow and then you hold down a button and you can return to it. I like that about it, but it's kind of I don't know. It's annoying. I hate the boss battles because I like.
Well, that's all there is. So you hate that.
What's my biggest problem with it? I think that the entire game is really well done. I thought the mechanics of the bosses were really good. I like the idea that each boss has a weakness, and it's about learning the mechanics of the boss and timing and everything like that. And I think it's a well built game and it's a well executed game. It's just not for me. It's a personal thing. I think that I don't mind games like that. For example, Dark Souls. I don't mind games like that where it's difficult, it's tough, it's about things. I think the biggest design flaw for me was the checkpoint system. I hated that goddamn checkpoint system. And the reason for that is that, for example, take the mushroom. Yep. You've got to go back to the checkpoint and then go through 3 zones before you get back to the boss. Yep. That's so time consuming.
I have the exact same.
It's not like thought. There's anything to see. There isn't anything going on. There's nothing else going on. It's just going through 3 fields before I can get to the damn boss.
It's not like Dark Souls where there are enemies on the way and you can get souls and level up on the way.
Boring. It's irritating and it's time consuming. It's boring, and I got more annoyed half of the time having to travel to each boss.
Right.
And then go back to and then you would die in 2 seconds flat. Right. Go back to the checkpoint, then spend another 4 minutes running. That's annoying as hell.
And I like the fact that they've made a world. I like the fact that it's just not room, you go into the next room, there's another boss in the next room.
Yeah, I don't mind the world, but have a checkpoint right outside the boss entrance.
It's nice to walk through. They've done a good job, I think, developing an interesting world with different zones. There's a mountain zone, there's a lost woods zone. It seems like there's some kind of culture going on. There's architecture and giant obelisks and things to different bosses, which is cool. I think the music is great.
But there's not that much going on apart from the bosses. And it just gets to the point where I was like, do you know what? I can't be arsed going back to the boss. Yeah. I can't be bothered. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go play something else because I cannot be bothered traveling that much. And it was just irritating. It was if you had a checkpoint right outside each boss entrance, or have a system that you can do it again, right? That'd be fine, because then I'm doing something, but I'm spending half of my time in the game running to the boss.
Yeah, that's why one of the best parts about Hotline Miami, I thought, is the fact that you die, you are right back in it.
Right, yeah.
Seconds later, literally seconds later, are right back into the fight.
But,
and I think that this game would have definitely done well. And I feel like it's the case of the developers being like, no, look at this world, isn't it so cool?
No, not really. Yeah. It's not that great, and the art style's not that great. It's okay, it's nice, but it's not that great.
Totally style over substance in this situation.
But you know what I mean? Like the art style, it's not that interesting to look at. It's pixels.
It's been done in many other cases. I think it's fine. It's done well, I think.
What do they want me to do? This is not Shadow of the Colossus. This is not like, look at this world. I'm on a horse. Yeah. Look at it. It's great. Yeah, exactly. It's not that. It's 2D pixels.
Right.
I'm not that interested in looking at the thing. I just want to get on with the game. And I think for me personally, I didn't like that there was no progression in it. There was no progression other than you unlock more bosses. That was boring to me. At least in Dark Souls, I had equipment, I had customization, I had, new weapons, new armor, all that kind of thing. I had actual progression, right? In this, you don't. There's just you unlock more bosses. To me, that's a bit boring. But I understand why other people would like that, because it is challenging. But
this is right in my wheelhouse, I think. I think the game, at its best, makes you feel like a speedrunner without needing the skill of a speedrunner. I think I said that on Twitter. It's just great to be able to go into a boss and be like, I know exactly what I need to do. It is one hit and this boss is dead, and all I have to do is execute on my plan, and we're in. And there's one boss, I think it was a Yeti boss, and he has a weak spot on his butt.
That's right, yeah.
And he rolls towards you, and he hits a wall, and I was like, I know exactly what to do here. First time in, I was like, all right, roll past it. He's going to hit the wall, shoot him, dead, yes, complete. So things like that make you feel so much smarter than you really are. I mean, pretty much anyone who's played any video game is going to figure that out. But the fact that you can do it in one try or in one attempt, one quick attempt, any boss dies in one hit, I think is a really cool mechanic that could be emulated in
which is fine. And
I
like I said, I like a lot of the mechanics in the game. I just hate, for me, it wasn't the bosses that irritated me so much, because I don't mind trying again. That's okay. It's just that, it took me ages to get to each boss every time after I died. That irritated me. And the lack of depth in the game, it bored me. It's just, for me personally, it bored me. I don't think it's a terrible game. I just think it wasn't for me.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely, I think, a genre that is for some people, not for other people. Similar to a Dark Souls game, I think every difficult game from now on needs to have Souls in the title. Demon Souls, Dark Souls, and Titan Souls, all in one happy family of Souls.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a neat game for $15. I think it's worth checking out if you like if you're not sick of the 2D pixel art style game. If you're okay with the Titan Souls, the Demon Souls type difficulty, I think this is a game worth checking out. It's
yeah, I mean, for me,
it's cool.
I mean, for me, it's not worth $15.
No? Okay. Hey. So I guess that answers the question that I ask every week. If this was the one game you were able to purchase this week on your $20 budget, would you have been satisfied with it?
I don't think I would, because it's just a case of I don't want to play it. Like, I don't want to play it. Like, I've tried it. I completed like 5 of the Titans, like first go around, and I went round, and then it just got to the point where I'm just running. I'm bored. Like, I'm gonna go do something. It takes the enjoy. The checkpoint mechanic is that bad for me that it takes the enjoyment out of the rest of the game, because I get to the boss, and it makes the fact that I die even more frustrating, to the point of I just want to leave. Like, I'm done. Like, I don't mind dying over and over and over and over and over again, but I don't want to spend 20 minutes running.
Right.
It just drives me. It's too much. It's just too much. Like, especially for the forest one, where if you take a wrong turn, then you have to start all over again.
Right.
Or like the ice one, where you have to. I mean, the areas are big. Like they're not small areas; they're quite big. Yep. So that's irritating. And there's some places where you have to climb, and it's like the climbing. You can't speed up the climbing, so it's quite long.
Yeah.
It's just too. That frustrated me more than anything else, which is a sad thing, really, because you have in like fun battles that like are quite blood pumping battles, but it's just too much.
Yeah, I obviously like the game more than you did. It's right in my wheelhouse, I think, and the solution I think to your problems is alcohol, because that solves a lot of these problems. Last night streaming, I felt like I was right in the bosses. I don't know. I just was drinking, and you know, it doesn't take much time to get to the bosses when you've had a couple of drinks. I think that'll fix your problems. I personally like the game a lot. It's a game I would recommend, and I would have been satisfied with if this was the one game I played this week. So I guess it's time to wrap up the show here. Mm-hmm. Now let's talk about the contest. Last week, the contest was won by Hades on Steam for discussing episode 10 on our Steam discussion page. He says he doesn't even really want the Infinite Crisis Starter Pack, but if you do, you know, that's totally fine. Just get in contact with us. Go ahead and friend us on Steam, and we will get that to you because you clearly want it. Next week, we'll be giving away a copy of Titan Souls. So if you want a brand new copy of this game, $15, it's a free game on Steam. You should go to our Steam page and discuss episode 11 in the discussion thread that I will be creating. And make sure you follow at 20orLESS Podcast so you get any up-to-date information on the show. You can email us at 20orLESSpodcast@gmail.com, and you can join our Steam group if you would like, where we will curate all these games that we discuss in the group, so you can go to the show notes there. So, Cosmic, where can people find you?
You can go to my YouTube channel at youtube.com/thecosmicengine. What did I have out this week? I had something out this week. I had some videos.
You had the Victor Ran
early access examination, and then I had an Infinite Crisis review out. Next week I will be having a Titan Souls review out, and
all right, nice.
I will be doing a Necro early access examination, and then I've got a couple of videos on the go. So we'll see how we go.
Cool. If you'd like to reach me, you can get me at GTeeg on Twitter. That's GTEEG on Twitter. You can also email me at gaddockteeg@gaddockgaming.com if you would like. And if you don't have anything else,
I'm good.
I think we will wrap up the show. Thank you all for listening, and we shall see you next time.